Welcome back to Healthy Bites. Today I'm going to show you a traditional Gujarati dish called Undhiyo. When one of my colleagues at school brought this over for our lunch, she made a huge batch of it and said, you know, you guys are going to love it, and therefore I've made extra, and we loved it. So we took it back home, and then she came back and taught us the recipe. And this is the version that I am doing with seasonal vegetables that are available here in Bangalore. The ingredients are raw banana, onions, brinjal, potato, sweet potato, methi, besan, amchur powder, chili powder, garam masala, coriander, ginger garlic chili paste, beans, coconut, salt, turmeric powder, mustard seeds and hing. So the first thing to do is to make the muthiyas. Now muthiyas are basically they are generally made out of besan or jawar, very popular across North India, and they're used to sort of make a dish more hearty. So this is a dish that is made generally in winter, and so it requires that little bit of heartiness to it because it's cold. You want to have something that's nice and warm and fills you up. So I put a little bit of methi into the basin, add a little bit of water, then add some salt, little bit of chili powder and amchur powder. Now this is not the way that muthiyas are traditionally made in Gujarat, but this is my version of the whole dish anyway. And I like using methi because methi is really high in protein, vitamins, minerals and calcium. And it's a great substitute for dairy products, and therefore I love to use it in any of my cooking. So once it has come together like this, all you need to do is make it into little balls about this size and then steam it. Steam it for about 15-20 minutes, and I'll show you what to do with the vegetables next. So I'm going to show you how to bring together all the vegetables. Now Oondhiyu is a mix of all the winter vegetables that are found in Gujarat. So a lot of tubers like sweet potato, yam, potatoes, brinjal, raw banana, all of that is traditionally used. So we've got some of them in season here now, and that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to show you how to make a version without oil, because I believe that oil is detrimental to our health because it is refined and processed so much. So the better way to have oil that is natural for us and lubricates our body is through coconut or through a lot of nuts. Nuts have a huge amount of oil, which is brilliant for us. So therefore we can cook without oil, and let me show you how. So in a hot pan, I'm going to put in the mustard seeds and wait for it to crackle. So once your pan is nice and hot, it will take a couple of seconds and you can hear it pop, and it will give you the same aroma, except that you haven't put it in oil, and it's really not necessary in a dish like this. Undhiyo is something that was developed in Gujarat to use all the winter vegetables and typically made between, say, December to Jan, and it's like a community feast. Everybody comes together, brings their little bits of vegetable, whatever they have. There's no set quantity in Undhiyo. You just put together everything, and it's a wonderful, wonderful dish. It's a great way to have little pockets of flavor with so many different types of veggies, and it's a great way to bring the community together also. So the mustard seeds are crackling. What I'm going to do is put in the onions and then put in the hing so that the hing doesn't burn. And just give this a few minutes to fry off, and the onions will start to turn color. So the onions are just starting to turn a little brown. I don't want them to be any browner than this. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of water, and let's start flavoring our dish. So I've got some ginger garlic chili paste. I'm going to add all of it in. Then add coriander and add the remaining methi. Now the idea is to echo the methi that is in the muthiya. Let it echo in this dish too. So then add the methi, and at the same point we are going to add haldi, garam masala and coriander powder, and let this cook down a little bit before we add the vegetables. Now muthiya is made in different layers. So what they would do is they would start with the chunky root vegetables first. They would start cooking that out first, and then add the next layer, add the beans, add the brinjal, the bananas, add all of that, and slowly keep layering all the veggies. So the dish Undhiyo comes from two main words. Mattu meaning the earthen pot in which it was cooked, and Unde meaning it was cooked upside down. So a large hole used to be made in the ground. This earthen pot vessel used to be put in. All of these vegetables are layered, and then they put coals on top. So it cooks it from top to bottom. Because the earth is made out of all of these warming sands, what happens is it cooks the dish through. It's not just cooking it on top. And of course you've got an earthenware vessel, so even better. So once the onions have picked up all the flavor, I'm going to add in salt. Be generous with your salt because this is going to flavor the whole thing. And then I'm going to start adding my tubers. So in this case, it is aloo, sweet potato and raw banana. Now the idea is to have vegetables that are chunky and keep the skins on. You want the skins on so that when you taste the dish, you can taste each individual vegetable, that they don't all mash together. So my friend was telling me that this is a community dish, that everybody would get together and one Sunday, even nowadays in Gujarat and most Gujarati households, they'll all get together. A couple of them will be involved in chopping, some of them will be involved in frying off all the different layers, building flavor. And then at the end of the day, they'd have this pot full of Undhiyo, which they would all sit down and eat. And it's a labor of love. It definitely takes time. You've got to give it at least an hour, 2 hours if you're making a small batch. If you're making a bigger batch, up to 4 hours. But I can tell you, it is well worth it. It has got the nutritional content of so many different vegetables. It's got some amazing tastes. And most importantly, it's one of our traditional dishes. So let this cook off for a few minutes and we'll add the rest of the veggies. So this has been cooking for a couple of minutes and you can see we've got some lovely bits at the bottom which has got so much of roasted flavor in it. Just scrape it off. It's going to become part of our flavoring of the Undhiyo. And at this point I'm going to add in the beans. So if you can find broad beans, those are the best for Undhiyo. But then of course it's not seasonal right now. So I'm going to add some brinjal and beans, add some water, and cover it and let it cook. And by the time these vegetables are half done, the muthiyas will be ready. We'll add it into this, cover it for about 5 minutes so all the flavors gel together and Undhiyo will be ready. So the vegetables have been cooking and you can see they're nice and tender, but they still have some bite to it. Now this is the time to put in the muthiyas. Let's have a look at the muthiyas. I steamed them for about 20 minutes and you'll know they're ready when they no longer stick to your fingers. If they're still sticking a little bit, put them back, steam them for a few more minutes. Now let's bring the dish together. Just add the muthiyas in at this point. Add in a little bit more water, just so that it doesn't stick. And then leave it for another 5 minutes to cook. So all the Undhiya vegetables, the muthiya, all of that has been cooking until all the flavors are amalgamated. Last thing to do is to add coconut. Now the reason I add coconut right at the end and not in the beginning as traditionally it is done is when coconut is heated, all the unsaturated fatty acids actually come out and that's not good for us. So what I like to do is just sprinkle it right on top and just mix it through one last time. So one of the things of Undhiyo is that you let it cook by itself. You don't need to be there stirring all the time. Put into a clay pot and put into the ground. Nobody actually touches it for a good 4 or 5 hours. So that is how Undhiyo is made. So it's ready with a lot of love, care, a lot of time, and the fact that you can get everyone in your family involved in the making of this dish. So this Gujarati dish made with lots of love, and you can involve your whole family in, put in the time, put in the effort. It's really worth it. And this is my recipe for a traditional Gujarati dish, Undhiyo.